Today's Monday, January 31st, 2022. Time is 9:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hello, friends. Dennis Nappy II here with Sixth Sense Media. I'm getting ready to go through my world events predictions for the month of February 2022. I completed these remote viewing sessions just a few days ago here in January 2022. I want to get them time stamped for today, being the end of January 31st, 2022, because I targeted these a little bit differently. I have very specific taskings this month where there will be no question if I have target contact or not. I'm getting not frustrated, but I feel that because my data is a little bit ambiguous each month, it's easy to go out there in the internet and find stories that might fit what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to see if my tasking and forcing the type of feedback I'm getting will make a difference in the data that I collect. And my data did feel quite different this month going through it. Case in point, I'm going to do a quick review of my prediction results from last month. So the session that was done in December for my January predictions. I'm going to jump right into that and share my screen with you. But I think it all comes down to the tasking for me. I not compare myself, but I look at what my mentors do and how incredible they are at remote viewing. They have a lot more hours, a lot years ahead of me. But that's what I strive for. That's the standard that I hope to achieve one day. So where I look at the level and detail and data that they get, I'm just not there yet. And I'm okay with that. But that's why I put this up there. I put this on YouTube because I think that it holds me accountable and it helps keep me honest. I want to say thank you to all of you who reach out and engage with my content and support me on this journey. It means the world just when you guys just throw in something, anything that you say to me that's been encouraging or even constructive criticism. I really do take that to heart, and it really does. It does help me to grow. I had one person last month troll me, and I deleted the comment. It wasn't constructive at all. Last month, I talked about how I thought the data was vague, and that maybe I'm just going through trying to find stories that match what I'm finding, and that's what the person accused me of. He says, "Oh, you're just cherry picking data." Yeah, that's my frustration with it. That's where I'm trying to grow. I don't want to just cherry pick data. So my tasking this month is very specific. Like I said, I'm going to share that in a moment. But let me show you what I came up with for my results for last month. So let's go here. And you know what? Maybe I should start with my actual data. So here are my world events predictions. This was January 2022. I did this session actually on January 2nd. So I had this, it's a beam of light. I just had this object coming down. Let's start here where I actually got into the session. I had this object moving downwards. Wasn't supposed to happen, somewhat controlled, an illusion I had. Was it space related? And there it is again, just something coming down, rocket, movement, trajectory, fear, wonder, shock, excitement, mix of emotions, spinning like a top. I had this drawing again, demolition. Okay, so that was my first event there. And I just came across this article, and this is out of control SpaceX rocket on collision course with the moon. This is posted Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. So a rocket that was launched a while ago, launched from Florida in February of 2015. It's been part of just some kind of orbit out there. It's eventually going to collide into the moon. So this is the closest story that I found that I think fits what I'm looking at. I'm not happy with the level of detail of my data in comparison to my feedback. Part of that might be the way in which I'm engaging with feedback, like I said. Part of it might be I'm just getting a bunch of noise. I don't know that this is noise, but I'm just not getting specific enough as a viewer, in my opinion, with something so ambiguous as world events and pick from one of the thousands of stories that comes out every single day over the next 30 days. So more to that in a moment. My second story here, event 2, note the golden roadway here, road pathway, and it was a discovery. Intelligent, intellectual, some kind of flabbergasted discovery, a window to the world. Let's see. The event is expanding, feels positive and happy. I like this. Again, it was with a discovery. And here's just a weird sketch of what I thought was a pyramid structure. It was glowing. I have here remorseful. And looking at this here, again, a pyramid as if the top was broken off. And this is significant. I heard moon, rising, sharp, tall, sure-footed, angled, and beveled. A road leads to this. That was very clear about that. A road leads to this. Snap and tumble rolling down. In here was neat. I had this something glowing or shiny inside of this. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And then we'll get to event 3. But let's look at this other event here. And here's what I found. This was just published on Monday, January 10th, 2022. The Aztec breakthrough after dark secret discovered beneath the ancient pyramid. Now, I don't know that discovery just happened, but this story ran with it. Now, if you look here, what's this roadway here? This looks gold. This is Teotihuacan in Mexico, a place that's always been very interesting to me. But it talks a little bit about the Aztec culture, and it goes on to talk about how this video here talks about how they were taken out by smallpox and varying diseases here that helped to take that culture out. But these large, cohesive social creations left their mark on the land, most often in the form of great cities and stone structures like pyramids and temples, many of which were in existence before the Aztecs. Most of the pyramids remained elusive to researchers for years, but recently modern technology has enabled researchers to look inside the structures without having stepped a foot in them. Now, I think if this is the story that I'm getting here, look at that. Looking inside the structure, something glowing or shining inside. That's whatever information that they're finding. I had an AOL here of Brazil. It felt Mesoamerican, South or Central American. I think I wrote that down somewhere. But I'm connecting the story to that. But again, maybe I can go through and give myself a little more feedback. I don't have the time this week to do that, and maybe this data will mean more. So I will take more of a deeper look at that. And that could account for the hard to see, ominous, spooky, but exciting and captivating, because there was a lot of sacrifice that went on that they found evidence of here. So maybe that's what I'm picking up on, is that ominous thing, that those ominous feelings that are going on down there. All right, event number 3 here. This one involved a person, a male, a well-known figure, that the media was blowing up this story and making it worse than it is. Some kind of scandal or fallout, illicit, illegal, forbidden, some kind of sex scandal. I put down Epstein and Maxwell just had her trial during the month of January. I knew that going into the session, though. I wasn't thinking about it, but I was aware of it, so that could be just front-loaded data. But I did get male life saddened. Is there a child involved? Something isn't right here. He's like a father figure. I felt love coming from his heart. That doesn't mean what he was doing was right. I had a guess of Clinton. White male, 60 plus, gray hair, fixated. And I just went in a little bit more detail about this guy. Expensive cologne, wealthy, expensive taste, blue suit, ankles exposed. I couldn't find any pictures of the guy in the blue suit, but he was considered sexy, attractive, but something disappointing. Anyway, here's what I think that story was talking about. And that's this one here. Virginia Giff's father calls Prince Andrew a coward for trying to dismiss the suit. So I think that's the father figure piece here of Virginia. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. Guffrey. Guys, it's late for me. Virginia Guffrey. I think that's the father figure piece that I was getting from this story, and maybe that's the love that we're seeing here is father to daughter. As we know, Prince Andrew is in some significant hot water right now over the allegations of the sex scandal between him and Virginia when she was just 17 years old. So that's probably the story that I was picking up on. Again, that was a well-known story. It's not the first time that it was reported. I still think that's the data I was getting, but it's not where I want to be as a viewer yet. So what have I done to try to correct that with this world events experiment? I've changed how I self-task myself, which is a difficult thing to do in terms of not wanting to front load yourself. But I'm going to go through my session here. I'm going to go through my tasking here because I think I came up with an idea that will alleviate that point for me. And now my stuff's not showing up. So All right, here we go. All right, so I created a different kind of tasking here. Let me share my screen with you. My goal here is to look at specific dates at specific news outlets. So there's no question with the feedback as to what story I'm targeting. Let me share what I'm talking about here. And I'm hoping this will, at a minimum, just help me develop as a viewer. All right. So here's my tasking here. World events, February 2022. And my subtasks here, I labeled them this way. Event number 1, I labeled 0201. Viewer will describe the main or central story reported on the Drudge Report on February 1st, 2022. So that is tomorrow. So I'm going to go on there tomorrow and see what the main central story is in the center of that and see if it matches up with my data. You can't get more specific than that. Obviously, you could say, well, what kind of stories Drudge reports, and that's true, but there are still thousands and thousands of possibilities of what might make the front page, plus the anomalous factor if something crazy happens and you have to throw that on there. So I feel pretty confident about that. And then it takes the guesswork out of it. And you guys can track it too and check and let me know what your thoughts are and how we did. And now we're all getting feedback on the same story because that is the story I'll be reporting on. My next event, I did 4 events. The next one, I want to check out unknowncountry.com on February 5th, 2022. Unknown Country's Whitley Strieber's website. He's always been somebody I've looked up to. And I like the news reports that he puts up there. So the way I worded this one, though, because he doesn't post news every day, but I will pull from the most recent or current story. So on February 5th, I'll go to unknowncountry.com and I'll see which is the most recently posted story and if it correlates to my data. Event number 3, we're going out to now February 15th, right in the middle of the month. Viewer describe the main central story, again, back to the Drudge Report. And then event 4, same thing, but on February 27th at the Drudge Report, what is the main or central story? And in my mind, my intention is the story in the middle of the page with the picture, not the top, story, but the story in the middle with the picture. That's what I'm looking at here. So let's take a look at my data and see how I did. So I started out, I feel good. And then I just got a glimpse of Mars rover. I don't think that that's related to this story, but in the past, when I do world events, I sit there and I just see what stories come to me and I just start jotting everything down. I moved away from that free form for this month, at least. I want to see how it works. And right away, I started getting data before I even did my first ideogram. I got crowds amassing, lots of people. My aesthetic impact was, this is exciting. Project or judgment. And then I went into my full session here. I did my ideogram and I had a structure and I had something about an arbiter or judgment as an AOL, hard, small, fragmented, blocky, gray, square, rectangular. Then I had also a sense of life, male, something wet. I had the AOL of ovary, narrow, roadway, passageway, structure, green. Whales as in a location. Still didn't really feel on target yet. Then I got an AI. This is complicated after that messy ideogram there. I labeled it as an event. Complex, intertwined, connected, dependent, complicated, connections, confusion, crowd sounds, protest as an AOL. And I had an AI of anger and frustration. Calm, junction, connection, movement, spinning, dizzy, spinning, stretching, elongating. Here we go. Movement, junction, connection. I'm starting to get into a little bit more. Structures, brown, urban, flat, hard, curved slightly, like a road. A road has a curve slightly so the water can run down to either side, down into the gutters. Lots of movement of objects in life, AOL of a roadway. And I had like life moving between vehicles in a roadway. And really, it just looked like squares and rectangles with circles in between them. And then I wondered, though, is this a military action? So, and this could have been an AOL that I go off onto, but I saw it looked like a city street from above, and buses and stuff moving around, and then life forms walking in between them. And I got this shape that seemed like some kind of junction or central meeting point, long rectangular objects moving to this location. Okay, sketch or describe the main purpose of this event, disaster, strike, event, response. I had this structure here, large building or structure. I had an AOL of parliament, open, hollow, cold, freeze. Then I had, when I probed here, when I probed in this building here, People banded together, embraced in circle and prayer. And I heard them saying, like, Hail Mary, full of grace, for those that were raised Catholic. They were calm but fearful. And there was more people than the ones I drew, I think. But I just had a bunch of people in a circle and just praying. They were calm but afraid. And then I got a clear glimpse of this. It was real quick, but I got a clear glimpse of this wide hallway, and there were people to either side. There were more people than I sketched here, and there was some knickknacks and stuff too. One or two of them looked like they were laying down. This person's down, crouching, covering their head. Something happened here, and I remember there's a clear path in this hallway. Like the people just moved to the side. Hallway with a clear path down the center and life forms on the side. Some may be injured. Structure feels formal or political. Cold marble, lots of echoes. Something is happening in the room at the end of so there's a room here at the end of the hallway. Something is happening there. So I went into that room. I had an AOL of a funeral because I glimpsed a person laying out on a table. I don't know if it was a funeral. I wrote down scandal. This felt more desolate. So I couldn't tell if a funeral happened if it was during a funeral and something terrible happened, or if maybe somebody was murdered in this room or somebody's dead in this room and there's people there. I'm not sure, but I almost get the impression that like maybe there were military or police that were moving through this building after an event happened. I kind of have that sense of it. These squares here was just some kind of square tiles on the floor. Okay, so that's that one. Ultimately, I think there's probably some kind of complex military action in an urban setting, possibly hitting a government building. Could it be related to last year, January 6th, here in the US? I don't think so, but it had that type of a feel to it. So maybe there'll be a story about that. But again, with the way this is tasked, whatever that story is in that location on Drudge Report, we'll see. I think that'll give us clearer feedback. All right, friends, I need to interrupt the original broadcast here, so to speak. That session that you're watching right now was recorded on January 31st, but here we are now. It's Friday, February 4th, 2022, 9:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I haven't released the video yet, obviously, onto YouTube. I hope to do that tonight. I got a little shy my first session, the one you just watched, about some kind of drama going on in some kind of official government building. That was nowhere near close to the government building. It was about on February 1st, the article on Drudge Report, the main headline article was about Tom Brady retiring. I completely missed the mark. So I was getting a little bit nervous about just putting 4 horrible sessions up there. Really starts to mess with my head and my ego. But I'm trying to stay true to form and stick with this little experiment and share that with you guys. So I just felt I needed to come on and give that little piece to give me a confidence boost in sharing the rest of my work. But however, I know that in speaking with some other remote viewers, there's a lot of noise this month and a lot of data coming back surrounding some pretty major current events. So I'm wondering if I'm getting pulled in those directions, despite my specific tasking this month. I'm also thinking that story that I got, I'll do a review at the end of the month, but the one we just looked at, I think, is tied into these truckers that are, having this protest here against the what mandates. If you look at that one image there, so I'll review it at the end of the month and see if I happen to hit another story just not properly tasked on the timeline. And I have some more thoughts on how I could task this a little bit better. However, I did just tech unknown country. Today's the 4th. My tasking was for tomorrow, but it was for the most recent story on there. And I think I'm spot on with that one. And I'm going to do a deep dive on that one in the next week or two after this session's released. So check out this next session. Again, my apologies for the interruption here. I guess it's an ego thing. But this is the rest of the session in its entirety. It was recorded January 31st. And again, you can look at the dates on Drudge Report and evaluate how I did. I'm a little nervous doing it, but at the same time, that's my journey as a remote viewer. Whether accurate, whether off, it's all a learning opportunity. So back to my second data point, my second event right here. All right, moving to event number 2. Now we're moving to unknown country for the 5th. This was for the 5th of February. So I had something involving motion, free, loose, frictionless, smooth energetics, and electric and ozone smells, bright and dark, tingly vibrations, a rumble, a hum, movement, and zoom. Okay. And then we're looking at a structure. And I legit smelled a skunk. I don't know if there was a skunk outside my window, but I had a brief scent of a skunk, a natural landscape. Indus River Valley, AOL of a satellite dish. I felt calm and peaceful. And then I saw this. I had an AOL of SETI, and I saw this dish, and and I was describing like it felt like it moved in a mountainous region. And I actually saw what looked like just kind of a cliffside and a river running through. Maybe the satellite dish was on top. Movement up and down, rotational, twisting, mechanical to the stars, something to do with imagery, something outgoing. When I say outgoing, I mean energetics, outgoing. That's what this B is here. Something was outgoing from that dish as if it was sending a signal out. I got something called a burn pattern. I had an ale of a gamma ray or a star map that looked like this. And once I probed into this, I had, oh, wow, it was deep. It was cavernous. I described the main purpose or function of this event, and I felt that it was to tell the truth, a male life who was driven and intelligent, but controversial. And I asked the question, is he trying to prove what he believes, or is what he believes now proven? An ale of a scientist and an ale of a radio telescope, looking at something in a new way, involving mapping and telemetry. And this reminded me of the telescope up on the big island of Hawaii. I forget what that one's called. That's what that reminded me of. I'm not saying, I don't think that that was the location, but that just is what it reminded me of. Okay, moving on to event 3. Now we're looking out to February 15th here. I couldn't hone in on what B was. Then I went down a little bit. I had maybe a location or event. Hard, flat, stable, horse smells, which was weird. Parallel lines, vertical lines, black, curving, movements, arching, sharp, hard, and tactile, angular, sloping, rough, soft sounds. B again, I couldn't hone in on what this ideogram was. Organizational, hierarchical. I can't say that word today. That's my AOLs there. Movement, flat, curving, rounding, upwards. And an AI, this is beautiful. Structured, downward, slanted, gray, smooth, curved, cement. And I got this picture, horrible drawing, but it seemed like a cement, either full circle, open circle, or like the letter C or a U, just some kind of cement sculpture. It felt like I had water, structure, ornate, like it's a landmark, like it's something significant to a larger structure, whatever that is. I felt calm. That was my AI. And then I got life forms moving about a structure or object. This is sadness and depression, economic hardship, hard times I started to come into. It was somber, defeated, people in lines, AOL of escape. And then I saw all these people, and there was a man, looked like that's not pinstriped, actually. That was just a full blue suit. But I had an AOL of Biden. I don't know that it was Biden. After my session, I thought about it. I thought maybe this is Putin, knowing that there's stuff going on in Russia, but Putin could fit too. But I saw a man with his back to me facing a large crowd, and his hand was raised. I had economic strife as an AOL, but I felt like there were several issues that were being discussed. And I saw a glimpse of all these beds. I thought maybe sick or hospital beds, but I also thought maybe something with a food supply. I want to say he's charismatic, but I don't think that he is. The crowd feels let down or disappointed, but not aggressive, maybe defeated. So this could be Biden addressing the nation. Maybe something happens, economic strife. This could be Putin with something going on with Ukraine. Again, this is front-loaded information that I have now. So I'm not sure. But again, the test will be, will this be the story that's featured on Drudge Report on February 15th? Okay. And then I ended my session there. I had one more to do, but I was pretty exhausted at this point. So I stopped my session there, and I came in the next day, and I did one more session. This was on the 30th. So this was just yesterday that I did this. And right away, I said, I feel good. And right as I started, I got this shape. It's like a tower with some kind of ring above it. I had towering figure structure, and I immediately got an AOL of the Statue of Liberty. And right away, again, boom, dark storm. I don't like this. This is horrible. This session feels very dark to me. Now, before we go down that rabbit hole, I want to be quite clear. I am still new at this. I do not have the track record for anyone to panic over the data that I'm sharing. I also want to be clear. I haven't even looked at the other more experienced remote viewers' world event sessions yet. Sometimes that gives me more confidence if we have corroborating data, which we sometimes do. But So I have zero to go on right now. So the things I'm sharing, I could be misinterpreting. I could be using my imagination. I could be way off. So please consider this at this point in time for entertainment value only. Okay. I want to be clear about that. This is my experiment, my journey, my learning piece here. This is for February 27th when I'm going to go back on Drudge Report. I'm going to check the news that day to see how I did. I hope that this is wrong. I hope that my data is off because this just felt scary. All right. So we had fast left to right, then up, hard pressed. I'm sorry, that's how I'm describing my thing here. I had a structure, hard, smooth, metallic wind sounds. And I saw quickly like this checker pattern of glass windows and had an AOL of New York. That could be of my Statue of Liberty AOL that I wasn't able to clear, or maybe it is New York. But this whole session, I couldn't shake the idea of New York. I tried, and maybe I got stuck on an AOL right at the beginning, which means maybe this is all just my imagination, and that's highly possible. Okay. But I don't like this. It was scary. It was bad. Again, structure, tower, rail, railway system, hard, tympanic, empty, rustling paper sound, wind sounds and feelings, a sense of abandonment, empty streets. This place just felt empty. I had this drawing here. There was a structure here, and I had like papers rustling. That's what I could hear, papers rustling and some kind of debris over here. Then I went and started to probe things. So I got empty, quiet, sullen, somber, sadness. And then A, that's this little piece of paper here, cold flowing movement, trash sounds, silence, no voices. And then B here, squeaking sounds, a car horn. And then C, rustling sounds. That's this over here. And I had an AOL of a subway and an AOL of passengers. And I thought, well, that would make sense for that. I thought this was a city street. But as I probed it, I got more ideas of maybe this is underground in a subway. So then I got this drawing, and this was where I started to get a little bit nervous. Heat, inferno, crackling sounds, white, just quiet. Now I know we say, oh, that looks like a mushroom cloud. I did not call this a mushroom cloud. It does have that shape. I had wind sounds, Galloway. I had life forms and people here. That's in this area here. And an AI. I don't like this. And then I had masses of people moving in lines, being funneled. I don't know what that was about. And I feel they were going from upper right to lower left. That's the direction they were going. They were just being split and funneled, and they were joining up again over here at the bottom. And then I saw this. It's a terrible drawing. I'm working on becoming a better artist because I think it makes for a better product. But this is a hallway, and these squares are too big, but this was just green square tile. I made them rectangles here. And there was a sign, a brown sign, I think, hanging down, a rectangular sign hanging down from the ceiling. Couldn't make out what it said. This was just like a hallway with a sign hanging down. Long hallway, green tiled walls, sign hanging down. I don't know what that's a visual from. Could be a subway. I don't know. Move to the most important aspect of the event and sketch describe. Now, I had an AOL here of the Empire State Building, but in my mind, I also thought, well, this could also be, Big Ben in London. I really don't know. That was just the first thing that came to my mind was the Empire State Building. Salt air, ocean smells, waves crashing. This says radial here. And here I heard crowd sounds, cheers, males. And I heard it was almost like a group of men. It was a very low sounding voices. So I'm guessing it was predominantly male, just like, yeah. A lot of people saying at the same time. I heard glass breaking, traffic sounds. And then where's B here? Rolling. Okay. I'll explain what B is in a minute. I saw that sketch again, and we saw this in the earlier event, but I saw that figure again. The key thing is there's a narrower piece that extends up into the air next to a longer form. Could this be a person standing with their fist raised? Yes. Could this be the Statue of Liberty? Yes. Could this be something else? Yes. I'm not getting a clear visual of what it is, but this is how I drew it. I heard a rumbling sound with many life forms. And then I probed up here at B, and I got a high-pitched sound, aerial overview of urban structures. Okay. The high-pitched sound to me sounded like an alarm. I should have wrote alarm, but I didn't want to label it. but it sounded like an alarm. Now, this aerial view over structures, when I explained a little bit more, I had a bunch of buildings. There were more than two, and people or life forms were on top of these buildings. I probed them. Life. They were hurting. They were incapacitated. The structure itself was solid and hard, but there were vibrations coming upwards. And I had an AOL of smoke. I perceived that there was smoke there. Okay. And then again, where's my C? On this side of the roof, I had that high-pitched sound again. I also had a baby crying. But when I heard that baby crying, I thought, as if there is hope here. Something bad happens, but the baby crying seemed like hopeful, almost as if like, yes, there's survivors. What's the most important aspect? And sketch and describe. Hard, hollow, spiky. I had just this structure with this tower on top of it. Again, the same theme. You got the larger structure with the smaller structure on top. Could be the Statue of Liberty, could be something else. Okay. And I got a glimpse of this spinning rotational spiky, just this long tube object with these things were pretty fuzzy and sharp, spiky. They had holes, rotational energy coming out. And then I got an AOL of Paris. And I thought, ooh, Eiffel Tower. That's a horrible drawing of the Eiffel Tower. That's what came to mind. I had rumble sounds and an AOL of a twister tornado. But again, I saw this ring around it. That ring is what's concerning to me. And I went a little bit further. Sketch described the cause of this event. And I saw a rip, a white light glowing, a tear, like a rip in the sky. And then I saw this towering inferno. And I looked a little bit further. And okay, so I had this. Is this a mountain? Is it a volcano? Is it a structure? I don't know. And then these rings of clouds up in the sky. So again, I'm not confident enough as someone who's trying to predict world events yet to say, hey, let's take this seriously. I don't know. I haven't even looked at other viewers' data. If other viewers have corroborating data, then, maybe take a little bit of caution. But I'd appreciate hearing your thoughts. I mean, I'm putting this out there now. Again, this is February 27th. This will give me the feedback I need to know, hey, most of this was my imagination, or here's what you got right, here's what you got wrong, because I am now targeting specific stories posted in specific locations on specific dates. So I'm still predicting world events. I'm still trying to look into the future. I'm still, I think, doing a pretty good job of keeping myself blind, but at the same time, practicing my remote viewing skill. I hope this last one is wrong. Sounds like it's going to be kind of a challenging month with the data that I got. But again, could be wrong. I could be way off. You saw my data from last month. I think if I went in and really worked it, I could probably pull elements out of all those stories and put the PowerPoint together and make a strong case to say, hey, yep, this is the data that I was collecting on. But I just wonder if I'm kind of cherry picking, which is not what I want to do. I want there to be no doubt, like, hey, this is the story you collected on, and that you definitely had target contact. I'm doing it this way to try to hold myself more accountable, but also to learn a little bit more. So let me know what you think of this approach. Let me know if there's any challenges or errors in it. I just ask that you be kind. Which 99.9% of you are. I had one person troll me, and guess what? I just deleted it. That's it. I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to entertain it because I don't want that kind of energy on the channel. So, all right, I've talked long enough, my friends. I can't thank you enough for the comments on the videos and the private messages that some of you have sent me with your insights as you're trying to solve the mystery with me as to what is this. For me, it's a lot of fun when I get those alerts. I'm truly grateful for your engagement and your support. So thank you so very, very much. And we'll see what happens this month. Now we have specific days: February 1st at Drudge Report, February 5th at Unknown Country, and then February 15th and February 27th again on the Drudge Report. And let's see how it does. So Dennis Nappy II here with Sixth Sense Media, reminding you to never stop questioning, keep an open mind, let your intuition be your guide. Thanks.